This is ANN News Brief.
Egypt and Ethiopia are still at loggerheads over the construction of Ethiopia's giant Renaissance Dam on the Nile. Egypt says Ethiopia has sovereignly rejected its plan for key aspects of operating the dam. Meanwhile, Egypt itself has dismissed Ethiopia's proposal as unfair and inequitable, just some back and forth between the two countries. Egypt thinks of the project as a threat to its existence as it gets at least 90% of its fresh water from the Nile. In a note circulated to diplomats last week by the Egyptian Foreign Ministry, points to key differences over the should be guaranteed to Egypt and how to manage flows during droughts. This note comes as Egypt, Ethiopia and Sudan met earlier this week for their first talks in more than a year over the hydroelectric dam. The $4 billion Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam was announced in 2011 and is designed to be the centerpiece of Ethiopia's bid to become Africa's biggest power exporter, generating more than 6,000 megawatts. French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves said in Khartoum on Monday the Sudan's transitional authorities will receive 60 million euros of French aid to help the country rebuild relations with international lenders and tackle its foreign debt. Le Drian said his talks on Monday with his Sudanese counterpart focused on the new Sudanese government priorities, including the top priority of fixing an economic crisis that triggered the protest that led to Bashir's overthrow. He said France would also lobby with European partners for the Sudan to be removed from the U.S. list of countries it considers state sponsors of terrorism. The listing dates back to Bashir's three-decade rule, and it prevents the Sudan from receiving much-needed financial aid from international lenders. We'll return after this break.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
The U.S. ambassador to South Sudan, Tams Husheik, says it will take time for the international community to regain their trust in the South Sudan government because the Kerr administration still lacks transparency in managing the country's resources, including oil. Husheik made the remarks during a public lecture entitled Institutional Readiness to Implement the Revitalized Agreement over the weekend. Speaking at the same event, Labour Minister James Holt-Mai said the international community lost trust in the South Sudan government because financial donations made to the country have not been used for their intended purposes. Holt said in the future, South Sudan would have to channel whatever funds it receives from the international community into developing the country. In 2012, President Salva Kiir wrote a letter to unidentified government officials asking them to return $4 billion of public funds, which the officials allegedly embezzled and deposited into bank accounts outside the country. Husheik said the government must be transparent in managing its oil revenues if it wants to regain the trust of international donors. Despite the lack of transparency in South Sudan's government, Husheik vowed that the United States will continue to provide humanitarian assistance and fund projects to promote resilience in South Sudanese communities. That's NN News Brief. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, nnafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at NN Africa TV. I'm Lucy Ademi.